My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. We were supposed to start, and I have been stretched so thin. I've been doing more interviews and more perspectives, and I'm a one man show. This is it. No producers, no assistants, no nothing. Mrs. L is in the middle of her incredible work and her interviews, so it is me. So my apologies for not being here on time. But understand something. This is it. Everything you see. This is my team. This is me. One person, one camera, one laptop. That's it. Nobody else. Little old me. So, that being said, I want to start off by telling you ahead of time that you must back off completely from everything you're saying. I cannot believe the expression drinking from a fire hose comes to mind. I cannot believe what I am seeing. I cannot believe what I am hearing. And I cannot believe how everybody is basically off track, out of their mind. I don't know where this comes from. I don't know who these people even are. I don't know. I think it's when it's like you leave the water running in the bathroom and the sink is overflowing because we're just overwhelmed with every bit of information. Some of it important, some of it not, some critical, but people feel like they have to just say something no matter what. They just have to keep talking. And maybe that's important. Maybe that's somehow beneficial or therapeutic. I don't know. But what I'm seeing, believe it or not, is something which is absolutely incredible in terms of the nonsense that I'm hearing, the absolute unmitigated nonsense from so many people saying so many things that make no sense whatsoever. And I know it's not meant to be, I'm not here scolding, but there's this insanity of thought. To give you an idea, not that it matters, but before I'm doing my show on my time, on my channel, based upon my perspective or what have you, as I'm talking about this weird world of psychopathological, parasocial rudeness and sickness and these weird scrums, somebody writes, "You better watch what you say or cut your," basically insulting me. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't. I don't care about that. But the point is, what kind of mentality, while America is freaking out and I'm about to talk about this, somebody, before anybody even weighs in, is giving me grief about something because we have no filters. There's no monitors. There's no class. There's no executive centers. There's no ability to ask yourself, what am I saying? Is this okay? Is this appropriate? When we're seeing pediatricians and doctors losing their jobs, there's a phenomenon. People will scour the internet, and if you go on TikTok or X or whatever it is, and you say something, if you laugh at the murder of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, who left a wife and 2 kids behind, if you laugh or become a part of this scrum, somebody will take your post, put it online, and say, make her or him famous. And that's it. Then your job, your board of directors, they're bombarded by not doxing, because they're basically documenting you with the truth. So people are so insane. They know what happens. If you're a 20-year-old nobody in the basement, go ahead and laugh or dance. When you've got Harvey Levin and TMZ having people on the set cheering, they're in the media cheering the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And Harvey Levin says, "Oh no, we were commenting on a car chase." You're lying. You're making it worse. And what we're doing is that we're saying, no, we were the ones who were thrown off of everything for daring to even bring up, of all things, ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. We were demonetized, deplatformed, deprogrammed for saying something about vaccines and opinion. Well, you're going to feel our wrath, and you're going to find out what that feels like with your words. I'm not going to say anything. Take your dancing. I saw this woman who was an anesthesiologist, I think in Miami, with a ring in her nose and walking and spewing this. And the idea that they're saying that words have consequences. They have consequences. Basically saying to Charlie Kirk, you asked for this. You dared opine regarding something that is just, I don't even know what to say. Now, before we continue on, I want you to understand something. These are times right now that we have never seen before. And when people are talking about safety and protecting your family and protecting what's yours and really understanding what's happening, this isn't a joke, because we are on the brink of some kind of weird primitive revolt, revolution. I don't know what this is. It's going to get medieval, primeval, primordial. It's going to be dangerous. So when I bring this up to you right now, when I have been talking about preparation and one of our sponsors, it's never more obvious than now, because you can already feel it. The world isn't stable anymore. Nothing. Why do you think people who sell gold and energy, you're going to be in a world where you're going to need food, water, energy, and ammo? You think I'm kidding? Look at what's happening. Look at the people around you. Do you not feel what's happening here? Do you not notice? Things we used to dismiss as impossible are happening right now in front of us. And what once was far-fetched and impossible 5 years ago is now daily reality. Nothing's safe. Nothing is protected. We are ready for calamity here. I'm not just sitting here saying the sky is falling. I'm not a Cassandra. I'm not Henny Penny. Systems that we thought were unshakable are fragile. We thought common sense. There's no common sense anymore. So listen to me. Shelves, closed, food, places, stores, shelves that were always stocked, trucks that always showed up. One blackout, one strike, one riot, one storm, one act of violence, one anything. And the safety net that we trust vanishes overnight. And if you think I'm exaggerating, there's just no hope for you. Now picture this. 1 week for you and your family with no real food, not snacks, not banana chips, not jerky, but no takeout, but the hard calories, clean water your family needs, and energy. You think I'm kidding? You think I'm exaggerating? That's when you learn the truth, the hard way. Cash, cards, crypto, even gold, none of that's going to feed you. This is going to be primal. It's going to be primordial. Food, water, energy, and ammo. It's ancient and it's reality. So right now, listen to me carefully. That's why waiting is a mistake. My Patriot Supplies 3-month food kit. They've been great to us. And listen, this, I'm like handing out generators. A 3-month food kit gives you over 2,000 calories a day, 22 meal varieties, and a shelf life of up to 25 years. And for a lifetime, a limited time, rather, I should say, they're adding 4 extra weeks free. That's a $247 value at no extra cost. Are you ready? Are you ready for what's about to happen? The world has changed. The stakes are higher than ever. The risks are closer. And what you laughed at 5 years ago is happening right now. I don't recognize anything anymore. I don't recognize anybody. I don't recognize the police. I don't recognize law and order, the courts, nothing. Don't gamble on hunger. Remember, think of your family. Think of you. Don't assume the system is going to be there. Preparation isn't paranoia. It's survival. So click the link in the description and pay attention. Preparewithlionel.com. I hate that we even have to think about this, but lock down your food and your family and your future. Preparewithlionel.com. That's it. I can't, again, what kind of a demented world are we living in? I'm seeing right now things that I can't believe it. I watched this morning some of the best coverage ever, Alex Jones and his crew. Best stuff I've heard, bar none. Bar none. Not a bunch of people sitting in, zeroing in to catch me crying and catch me praying. Look, I appreciate that. I understand that. But that's performance art. That's look at me and how I'm reacting to Charlie Kirk. Look how I'm reacting. This is automorn. This is performative. This is this parasocial reaction that we're seeing in these performative emotive scrums. I'm not telling you how I'm feeling, how I'm sad, how I'm crushed, and I can't speak, and I can't breathe, and I can't believe it. It's not about me. It's about everybody. It's about us. This is one thing I got to tell you something. My God. Look, I knew it. There are a lot of people, frankly, there are folks who I don't want to mention their names, and everybody, look, this is a gig, but most of the times they're just completely full of shit. And if ever if we were at war, can you imagine Walter Cronkite going like this? Oh my God, I can't believe it. I don't care about you. Grow a man, be a man, grow a pair, butch up. Shut up. It's not about you. Quit saying my thoughts and prayers and praying and dear God, I pray. It's about look at me. Look at me, how I'm to look, forget Charlie and his family. Forget his wife and his 2 kids. Forget them. Forget the cause. Forget the young people who were there. And there's a bunch of people out there who are freaked out. And they're going to tell you, I remember that day. I remember where I was. I was there and I was this far away. I could have caught one. I could have caught a round from this lunatic. I could have. I can't believe what I'm seeing. We don't even have any men or women. Forget men. We always say, we got to have men, with the testosterone and men, and look how many kettlebell push-ups. What are you talking about? We need women. We need adults. We need people who are in charge, who are leaders. I can't believe this. All we're talking about constantly is look at me. Look how I'm sad. Look at me. Here's a picture of me with Charlie. Here's me. I knew Charlie. I knew Charlie too. I knew Charlie. I knew him. No, I knew him more. No, you didn't. Yes, you did. Well, he was on my show. He was on my show twice. I knew him. See, I'm in the picture. They're like photobombing the story. It's about them. We are producing some of the people, some of the biggest names. I'll let you go through them. All they do is talk about themselves. It's always about them. With the lighting and the makeup and the color and the light. What is going on here? Don't try to commodify your feelings over mine. It's not about you. Yeah, I saw his picture, yeah. Well, they say, we'll get to that. They say they found anti-fascist, pro-trans stuff on the we're going to get to this in a moment. I don't know what I'm believing anymore. I don't know what to believe. They tell us the FBI had good footage, right? They tell us officials tracked movements for an hour before the assassination, right? They tell us the shooter was on rooftops, watched, followed, mapped, and yet somehow Charlie Kirk still took a sniper's round to the neck. Here's something to understand. And let me also tell you something. And forgive my rage. And I'm going to try to watch my own language, but I'm an adult. And my goal is getting the thought across and the feeling, not being polite. We live in a world right now where everybody watches Sean Ryan and the Sheriff Shrek and most of these stolen valor bullshit artists, these little boys with their guns and their toys who think they were SEAL Team 6 and this and that, and they talk about breaching close combat and all this stuff. Most of the people here have no idea what they're talking about. Well, it was a pro hit for me. You don't know a pro hit or a professional hit if it bit you on the ass. You're not a professional sniper, you're not a part of SEAL Team 6 or some type of jackal. You hear the jackals. That's the what's his name? The economic hitman's guy. The jackals. Everybody's into psyops and angles and this and that. Stop it. But there are some things that are just plain old common sense. And you don't have to be with some type of A team to understand what's going on. Are you understanding what all this means? They're telling you that surveillance was active. And by the way, we got plenty of time here. Surveillance was active. That means that eyes were already on this man. That means the system knew he was there. Are you following me? And somehow, some way, despite all the technology, despite all the countermeasures, despite all of this tracking, and all of these citizens saying, hey, look, there's a guy here with a phone and a little this is their telephoto lens. Here's the camera. Despite all the countermeasures that we told exist, no one stopped this guy. Nobody. This is Butler Redux. This is Butler all over again. All over again. We're supposed to believe this is what? Mere incompetence? We're supposed to chalk it up to tragic oversight? I don't buy this for a moment, not for a second. Everybody's covering their ass. Kash Patel, again, is trying to say, we've got him in custody. Well, he's not in custody. Did you see the lunatic they found? If this guy, put it this way, I wouldn't be surprised. Let me tell you my code word. My code word is, I wouldn't be surprised. Where you would say, it's MK Ultra, it's Saya. I wouldn't be surprised if it was MK Ultra. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if somebody acted alone. I would be surprised if there's something that would surprise me. So I wouldn't be surprised if that old man, not older man, probably younger than me, but he was screaming and yelling about, go ahead, shoot me, but if he's not the distraction. Kash Patel and the DOJ and these folks blow it. They took a stupid Epstein file case and that one up royally. They can't handle a case where the guys, and they've got all of this information and they either release it or they don't. This is a limited hangout of the first order. Do you trust them? Every time I see Kash Patel, I'm sure if ever there was a guy, J. Edgar Hoover saw somebody one time with a red tie, he fired him. J. Edgar Hoover, if you had a zit, there was a special agent with a zit, he said, fire him. Of course, he didn't want women or black folks either, so he wasn't perfect. But what I'm saying is, there's a countness. When Kash Patel speaks, this guy couldn't lure me out of a burning building. And when both he and Pam Bondi talk, forget it. I'm thinking, Mr. President, dear God, get me an adult. Even the FBI does it. Have you seen the folks they get? Have you seen the special agents in charge? First of all, go to Men's Warehouse, get a suit that fits, and look, don't wear shoes with rubber soles. You're the FBI. I don't understand this. The eyewitness reports are even more chilling. People in the crowd were cheering when Charlie Kirk went down. Now, there is more information. There is more great crowdsourcing. You know who the best detectives are? You. Have you seen this piece? There are these groups. There are people who pour over not only Irina and Charlotte, but this one, who are saying that the photos are doctored because it appears to be a ring when it's a microphone cord, and they look at the ring and they zoom in and they say there are people who thrive, they're a minority, but who thrive on everything being some psyop, false flag, something or other. Everything. They thrive on this. Okay? Let me also ask you a question. Be honest with me. I know these people are sick. And I know some of them go into this kind of a weird performative act. But the other day when I told somebody, I said, when it appeared that Greta Thunberg might have been offed by some, drone, as she was part of this flotilla to help and to protect the folks in Gaza, somebody said, we should be so lucky. And I know, that there would be people that we know mocking and laughing if something happened to Greta Thunberg. Oh, she had it coming, stupider. So don't give me this business about we're immune from that. We might not be as bad, but we say stupid things all the time. See what Charlie Kirk said about Israel? See what he said about? He said after he supposedly changed tunes, he said, "Don't worry, I fear." Now, how this is even true? They're talking about how quickly Netanyahu responded. I don't know any of this stuff yet. We'll see. Pilgrim says, now I understand what you have been talking about concerning Palantir and the whole CPAC Israel spook connection. Part of it, yes. It's not CPAC, it's APAC, I think. Anyway, yes, it's been said. Is it fair to compare this to the MLK assassination? Sure. You know how long it took them to find James Earl Ray? Like 2 months later. Charlie Kirk statue should replace Floyd's. Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. I appreciate that. Yes, that would be, but that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. Good day, Raul. That is not going to happen. That's not going to happen ever because they hate Charlie Kirk. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. These people were laughing and clapping and mocking the moment of death. This is a psychopathic scrum. This is what happens when people go out. You know when they would have stonings in some countries. I don't think they do it as much anymore, but it's been done in certain Middle East countries. And they would show up and people pick up a rock and throw this. People who were God-fearing, they say, "Oh, is everybody doing it?" Yeah. People who all of a sudden start looting. People who yell "jump" when some poor soul is on a ledge. We've seen this all the time. Now, these people who were laughing, this didn't just happen spontaneously. It looks like a couple of things. It looks partly of conditioning, and it looks, in many respects, like people who were already prepared for what they were about to see. Take that for what it's worth. Don't be surprised as people scour this. You might be hearing about hand signals. You're going to be finding out anomalous, strange things. That's why we need great people like you, citizen reviewers, citizen experts, to go through this and say, what do you think? What do you notice? Don't give me some, quote, expert, and don't give me some self-referenced egomaniac, solipsistic, beauty queen wannabe who wants to spend their whole time crying and telling you how much they knew Charlie Kirk and you don't understand their pain. You think I'm kidding? You think I'm kidding? Even that, they talk about how selfish are these people to mock Charlie Kirk's death. Well, you know, when I was talking to Charlie last week, stop it. And then comes the drone footage. Why wasn't there a vote? Tell me right now. Who didn't say we're going to put I don't know how much drones cost, just to fly over. And they did the identical routine they did in Butler. Again. Do you see what I'm saying? Again. Do you understand this? Again. What do we take? What do we need to do? How does this work? What's going on here? Does he not have a security contingent? Do you know that there were people, listen how smart you are. When I say you, I mean our community. There were people who thought to look at the flight patterns of the various airports, they didn't lock down the airport. That guy, that shooter was on a plane and was out the door so fast, ready to go. I said the other day, and this is not just me, anybody knows this. The key to being the hit is getting away. You understand that? It's getting away. That's it. That's the problem. Getting away. So the first thing they ask is, who's in charge? Turning point. How does this work? Who are these people? Overhead views of the campus. They've got the tent, the rooftops, the escape path, even the drop site for the weapon. The whole sequence mapped like a training exercise. You can literally follow the route, and still the Bureau refused to release the critical video. Still, then, the Bureau locks away the thing that would really end speculation, that would really help immediately. They should ask us for our help immediately. Why? Why withhold videos if you had them, if you had him tracked? What are you waiting for? Why delay? Why stall? Why seal off evidence from the public? Why not let this guy say, oh my God? And better yet, why not make people who might be holding him, who might be acting as an accessory after the fact, why not freak them out to pick up the phone and say, hey, look, I have nothing to do with this. Let the world know that Dragnet, you better give it up now. And if you know where this person is, you better let us know if you know what's good for you. Because if we find out that you, that's where you do it. But they're acting. They took 2 people into custody and released them. Why are you even saying this? If the shooter was followed for an hour, let's say, why was there no counter sniper in the place? Charlie Kirk is not some outlier, one-off kind of. He is a part of the, if you will, our collective citizen government. Why no takedown before he fired? Why no security sweep to clear the rooftops? You know why? You know why? Because this was never about security. This was about theater. This was about something else. We have incompetence running the show. The once vaunted, once heralded, once great FBI through years and years of DEI and a spirit, the old esprit de corps, this spirit of it doesn't matter. They go from the FBI to the post office. This is another story. So, I mean, think about the timing. Think about the narrative. A conservative leader silenced in broad daylight on a college campus, a symbol of free speech, of young conservatism, of the future, of energy and fire, one of the greatest threats to the radical left, eliminated in an instant. It looked like some time. I didn't even tell you what it looks like. And immediately the media pivots, blaming the rhetoric, blaming the victim, mocking his death, rewriting the story before blood even dries. Did you see 60 or CBS? We've got some dude who's sitting down there, and he's got some young guy with a fro. He's the new look of CBS. Okay. And the first thing he does is, let's talk about the rhetoric. Let's talk about what might have precipitated it. Because what they're telling you is this. Now, let me make it very clear. They're telling you, Charlie, you can't say these things. It's a new world, Charlie. And that goes for everybody else. Don't you talk about our trans. Don't you talk about us. Don't you sit there and laugh and say, what is a man? How do you define a man versus a woman? You're not a man. You're a woman. You were born a woman. Don't give me this, sis. I don't want to play. Why do I have to play with your pronouns? Ha, 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 ha. They're not laughing. These people are serious. What's our version of Antifa? It doesn't exist. There's not been one. Pam Bondi, instead of going on Fox News or whatever it is, should have a multiple grand juries to go after the hierarchy of Antifa. Not one yet. And basically, Kash Patel, who looks like he's getting a prostate check with some doctor with a hangnail, he always looks shocked and scared. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to mock his eyes being strabismic. I'm talking about his eyes looking bug-eyed, like he's frightened. And where the hell is that big mouth blowhard? What's his face? Dan Bongino. He's gone. He's through. We've seen this playbook before. Information control, narrative management, evidence locked away until no one cares anymore. They're running out the clock is what they're doing. Meanwhile, suspicions grow. Was this negligence? Was this a cover-up? Nobody's going to follow up on this. Nobody. Or was this a sacrifice? We'll never know. We live in a world where they couldn't even devote 5 seconds, a minute, for a moment of silence on the floor of the House. Lauren Boebert, they're screaming nothing about Charlie Kirk because these people are hateful. This is a psychosis, the likes of which we have never seen before. We've never seen this. It doesn't have any corollary in the real world. DB says Hoover wanted to be the only woman in the room. Do you believe that story? Do you believe that story? You know where that story came from, right? It was Roy. It was Cohn, Roy Cohn. Pilgrim, thank you so much. Andrew Hessing says the venue seemed very depressed to enable a line of sight from a rooftop. Inside a building, however, would allow someone to do the deed and escape as they cleared the building. Palm print, bolt action. That's nice, but you've got to get into a building. That might be even better. Down the road, a building, you got to go floor to floor. You got to, no. You got to open a window. You got to say, no, somebody can hear you. Nobody's going to think. Top of the roof. And listen, who are we? Let me explain something. We don't know shit. We're not snipers. I think we're smart people. I don't know anything about this. And we don't know this. All I know is it worked in Butler. They didn't even have this. The Secret Service didn't do this. And you think Charlie Kirk's going to get better treatment than that? Carla says the flight that turned off radar is key. Yeah, his latest opinion was not blessed by the dark agent. Could that have been the reason? Well, we don't know. You know what, Carla? You put this in the list. This list. And we stack them up. At the end of the day, we say, what do you think about this? Listen to what conventional... See, I've got to be very careful. This morning on WABC, there were a lot of people who really felt it. But that's not the venue. You see, when it really comes, I was listening to Alex and his team. Fantastic. Carla said something. There was one flight that all of a sudden turned the transponder off and all of a sudden picked up again. They should be all over that. I don't know who's running the show. If the FBI has been lax for the longest time, when the only thing they've cared about is setting up January 6th people, think about that. Think about that. They went all out on January 6th to set up American citizens with confidential informants, set up Americans who basically wanted to just protest. Oh, they were balls on the wall with that one. I mean, they were something else. But this is a different story. This is beyond anything we've ever seen before. None of this even makes any sense. This blows my mind. So those are great questions. You know who's going to answer it? Nobody. 3 days. Because let me tell you what we do. Our scrum turns into going online and just putting pictures up and having a meme. Here's one meme regarding Irina, the girl from the Ukraine. It was something to the effect of, a new Netflix movie. They take the scene, and instead of Irina cowering, it's a black girl with white people around, and the idea is that yes, if this were reversed in terms of race, it would be a different reaction. How many times are you going to keep promoting it? How many times are you going to keep telling me that same thing? How many times are you going to tell me the same story repeatedly? And that's it. And that sucks a lot of the oxygen out of the room, deflects a lot of attention, and basically rebrands and reconditions and refocuses a lot of attention that should be paid to this. It's something that is hard for people to understand this. Regular media cannot handle this, and they do not want to handle this. What we consider to be normal, absolutely normal investigation and the like, these people don't. If you can understand what I am saying, these people don't understand that we have concerns. If I ran the FBI, and you will never see this, I would say I want there to be a liaison, so to speak, where people who are, I guess, where people kind of who are involved in this particular world are allowed to weigh in with their own crowdsourcing. Do you remember? Of course you do. During World War II, Operation Enigma. And Enigma was where average citizens were enlisted to be a part of the code breaking team. Remember how they did this? They took men and women, old ladies and young ladies and spinster. I love the word spinsters. The people who like crossword puzzles and games, people who had a propensity, a predilection for this kind of behavior, and they became Bletchley Park. They took them to England, and this is where Turing and other people were. Remember this, if you recall this. This is where Turing and these folks were. And Eisenhower at one point said, he was part of the Supreme Commander, Allied Supreme Commander. He walked in, the story goes, and said, if I find out that any of you are responsible for letting any of this go, for repeating this or leaking this, I will personally dispatch you right here. I will do it. This is how serious it was. But see, we don't do this because it's always turf war. Do you know one of the reasons why during the rise of the guardian angels, why they did not like Curtis Lewa, why the NYPD did not like Curtis Lewa, why Ed Koch did not like Curtis Lewa? Because Curtis Lewa was basically telling the city fathers that they weren't doing a very good job protecting the city. So that's why they hated Curtis Lewa. They don't want this punk, some vigilante telling these professionals, you don't know what you're doing. And that's why your ideas are going to be poo-pooed. Today is, of course, the 24th. I don't want to say anniversary. Anniversary to me sounds like something pleasant. It sounds like something happy. But it's the 24th year of remembrance of 9/11. And I hate talking about it. And I'm not going to do it because it's all bullshit. It's the same people saying the same thing. And President Trump is reading this stuff. And I understand he's doing his best. And I'm sorry. He's just one of the worst readers. Don't let the man read. Let the man speak. He's so much more. You notice how Melania is also playing a different role. The role of them as a couple, they seem warmer, more of a team. Have you noticed that? Somebody's paying attention to stagecraft and optics, which is very, very good because that's what you need. But what we need to understand and to grasp is that these people are telling you, you don't understand something. Right-wing America, we're in charge here. You don't understand something. We're in charge. You see, I can't talk about everybody's got to sit there and say, we love, the American. Look, the FBI is fine, but the FBI's behavior always fuels suspicion. They're not acting like investigators who want transparency. They're always acting like managers of something, managers of a narrative who want control. They are not eager to reveal. They are desperate to conceal. They're desperate to just move along. This is all you need to know. And here's the hardest question to ask. What do they not want you to see? What's on that footage? Who owns the truth? Do they or you? What detail would expose everything? A handler in the background? A second shooter? A signal perhaps from somebody in the crowd? That's what some people said they saw. We don't know. And as long as they bury videos and bury interaction and sharing of this, we may never know. Remember when, this is what I always would say, what would have happened on November the 22nd in Dallas if everybody had a phone? It would be completely different. We knew everything. We knew where this was coming from, where this shot came from. We knew all of the specifics. Many of us who were online, we're not always just online folks. Many of us have jobs. We have professional chefs and doctors and lawyers and military personnel. This morning we had somebody who called up and he said, this is a professional job. I said, well, why is it a professional job? How do you know? He says, well, no. He said it wasn't, right? He said it wasn't. He said it wasn't a professional job. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, it was because everybody, as you know, is an expert. All of us here. Years ago, it was the NSA. Everybody was in the NSA. Everybody, at one point, they were NSA contractors. And then NSA lost favors. Now it's spooks, and now it's that kind of CIA and the company and all this other kind of jazz. There's all this stuff on TV too. Have you seen this proliferation of ex-spooks? John Kiriakou is the best, but it's a new fascination that we have. And what we have more than anything else is this group of people who now are experts in all this. So this one fellow called up, he said, this wasn't a professional job. I said, why was it? He says, well, first of all, it was a neck shot, and you don't want the neck shot. On the neck shot, you want to center of mass, and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, so I asked him, I said, were you in the military? He said, yes. I said, what division, whatever? He said, he was a mechanic. So he's basically the motor pool, as they say. Everybody is an expert. Everybody knows everything. Carla says, by the way, thank you for getting your name back, Carla. As the general told you the other day, we're not here to put on a show, but to do our job. Now, all these agencies need to do their jobs. Now, all these agencies should do their jobs. Absolutely. But Carla, which is one of the things, as a trial lawyer, sometimes we get an expert witness. I remember one time there was a kid, there was a case where somebody needed information on scuba equipment, scuba, what have you. And this kid came forward and qualified as an expert witness because he knew something very specific about what was happening and whatever. So we have all these folks who are watching this, and they ask very, very good questions. And one of the things which you have to think about, and none of this is really, I'm taking no credit for this. Sometimes I'll ask something which I think is intuitive, and sometimes it really doesn't matter. But let me give you an example. One of them was, it appears that it either appeared or was suspected that Charlie may have had some type of body armor. Now, you can do a lot of stuff you can wear that's not very cumbersome, that's not very problematic, but that can be worn, and somebody suggested that he might have been doing that. So that's why it is posited. Again, I'm not an expert, but that's why it was posited or believed that maybe he was involved in this type of how do I say this? That he was involved in that he was shot basically in this area because the shooter knew this was indeed going to be covered by some type of Kevlar. Now, if that's true, it makes sense. But we had somebody who's sitting on his arse somewhere decides, I'm going to weigh in about who is responsible or whether this was a hit or not. You don't know anything about this. But all of a sudden, we're talking about professional hits. There was a story, and this was very, very, very good. Again, I've got to say, kudos yet again to Alex Jones. Kudos. He has the best up there is. There's a fellow named Harrison Smith. Did you see Harrison Smith had one of the best pieces ever? And he was going through this, and they were looking at some of there was a fellow, I do not know his name, please. It looked almost like Tom Homan, but it wasn't. And he said, yes, at the time, we received information from, and he said, quote, foreign intel. Foreign intel? What foreign intel? Are you hearing what Charlie Kirk changed his tune regarding he was having, remember the other day he had on Vox talking about, of all things, Israel. A turning point, violated the rules, some people think. And by the way, let me go on the air. Let me go and say, let me be as clear as I possibly can be. My dear, dear friends, let me explain something to you. I am not saying in any way that anybody was involved. How do I know this? Because I don't know this. I'm in New York City. I am not getting intel briefings. I am not somebody who is completely privy to all this stuff. I'm not going to say Mossad every 5 minutes. First, they love this. You are giving them the impression that somehow Mossad is responsible for everything. This may come as a shock to you, but this actually is something that they sort of kind of like when you say. I don't know this. I don't know anything. You don't know this. But all of a sudden, for whatever reason, those of us especially, and there's always been a certain degree of Israeli government suspicion. I'm freezing up here and I realize this, and I'm going to do everything I can to try to stop this. Let me see if I can do something. In any event, I wonder what is drawing all of my juice. You know, if only a life were like that. You can see what's drawing my attention. I go to my activity monitor, and I like to see what's going on. Yeah, Firefox, that's it. That's definitely doing it. And let me see this. Let me see if I can get rid of this. Let me see. This is interesting. This is the... Anybody talks amongst yourself. Let me see this. Maybe this will help. Yeah, let's see if that helps. There we go. This might free up some time. You know, life's like that. If only we could have an activity monitor to find out, why am I so stressed? And then you go online and you go, oh, this is what's bothering me. There's this thing called Address Book Sync that I always have to go down and shut down because it draws so much CPU. All right, enough of that. People are saying, how do I say this? I know people in my world, and I'm saying, do you have any idea of what is happening involving the world and Israel? The other day, Marcia Kramer from Channel 2, she's been around forever, one of the New York's most seasoned or more seasoned reporters, asked Zoran Mamdani whether he would be a part of BDS when it comes to city pensions. Would you divest any involvement in Israeli properties or whatever it is? And he said, oh, absolutely. Because of the CCJ, because of all these other people and all this stuff. Now, they put this out to show you how stupid this is. They put this out to show people, this is important. They put this out to show people that he is not going to be a good mayor because he wants to divest from Israeli matters and that sort of thing. All right. Part of the BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction. Okay. I'd love to ask Marcia Kramer, what planet are you on? You just gave him, I don't know how many new votes, because people are up to here with Israel. She doesn't know this. She doesn't understand this. I'm not saying I'm not saying why. I'm not. I'm telling you, this is a reality. So there are people right now saying Charlie Kirk said to somebody purportedly, if anything happens, and they were saying if anything happens, they're going to get you. They almost predicted it. Now, am I suggesting there's any proof of this? No. But if I ran this show, I'm going to say, don't say anything. Get on this. Get on this. And I would make sure I would talk to all of our foreign folks, all of our spokes, all of our people involved in, and say, who was responsible? Does this look like so-and-so? Yeah. Do you believe when you find trans, fascist, pro-trans on the shell casings, do you believe this? Did you buy that, honey? Did you know this? Do you believe for a moment that this is so, I'm sorry? I'm sorry? Is this the best you can do? Do you really think? Yeah, do you think that, I mean, seriously? I mean, honest to God, does anybody believe this? Now, what does that mean? I don't know what it means. All I'm saying is don't go for it. Don't think that this is obviously to point to this. I don't know about you, but one of the things which is the most important thing to do is to ask yourself the question, what would somebody want this to look like? What would somebody want a particular event to look like? So what I'm saying is, again, I'm suspicious. Yesterday, we got into, again, one of the most insane arguments. Again, somebody said, it's the communists. Oh, you didn't hear this. This morning on WABC, remember, 1 to 5, Monday through Friday on 77 WABC. Somebody said, which is most interesting, he said, it's the Muslims. It's the Muslims. Oh, Freedom says, the tragic loss of Charlie reminds me of the Trump shooting. The worst part, living behind a mom and dad, a wife and young children, without a father, deeply sick. Yes, I agree, and I thank you for that. This fellow calls up and he starts off with the Muslims because they're radicalized. Where did you get this? Where did you get this? I hate to say this, but a lot of Muslims agree 100%. You see, a lot of countries don't like this trans business. And if that's what they think Charlie Kirk was all about, there's a lot of Muslims out there and a lot of Saudi. There's that, who's that Faso, the African leader with the uniform. He basically bans homosexuality. They love this. You want to talk about Sharia? And they always love Sharia and jihad. Two concepts. They don't even know what the word means. Most of them would say, hey, I'm for you. A lot of jihadists are not necessarily in love with LGBT. So the narrative doesn't make any sense. They were using the word Islamo-fascist, which is almost oxymoronic. And again, they were saying it's part of a communist, and I said, what are we, Stalin? I said, do you think, you want to talk about regime, maybe not killing the number of people, but do you think that Pinochet and Pol Pot and other countries, Saudi Arabia, theocratic, draconian, are they communist? So what happens is, when something like this happens, there is this valve. It's shaking. I'm thinking we're going to have to pop the lid on this. And it's a bullshit valve. And it starts rumbling. And we have to open it up or else people will go crazy. And it just sprays this nonsense. It just never stops. And the best part about it is that, and this is the most important thing in the world, you don't understand really what this is about. Whatever side we're on, let me tell you what we do. We'll say, well, it's the devil. You're right. Let us pray. Let us organize. These people are radicalized. Let me tell you something. You thought these people were wusses when you went up and you mocked them and you kept saying, you're not a man. Don't give me that she and your sure and all of your weird pronouns. You're a bunch of freaks. They didn't cotton to that. And they may not even be transgender, but they hate you. Hate you with a passion that you don't recognize. You don't have that. And thankfully you don't. You don't have that. You don't have this. It's not in your blood. It's not who you are. You don't think like this. These folks are so... Alex reminded us of in 2020, the TIP, there were they do these table rituals, these table plans, these table kind of war games. They did it for COVID. They did it for trying to, where I think it was Podesta played Biden. They're so organized. We have nothing. We got a bunch of stupid, and let me tell you, you're going to love this. What New York loves to do is the resurgence of this kind of a rough, tough Tony Soprano talking, which is Jersey, but a tough guy, expletive, F-bomb spewing, Brooklyn-y, tough swagger, F you, and that's it. And this guy, Mamdani, is so smooth. So smooth. They are so organized. For example, so Kash Patel has never done any... I would have gone in there ground running. I would have announced nothing and you would have heard this and this indictment. The great... Speaking of Marsha Kramer, again, Marsha Kramer has been with CBS for forever. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. And Marsha Kramer was one time talking to the great judge and a great friend of mine, Saul Wachtler, who's a genius, a juridical genius. And Saul Wachtler, on his own, just in passing, said, any prosecutor could indict a ham sandwich. Or any prosecutor worth his salt could indict a ham sandwich. And then that, Marsha Kramer mentioned that, and that became the most important line next to keep your friends close and your enemies closer from a movie. This was Mario Puzo. It wasn't Caesar. People think it's Shakespeare. It's Mario Puzo. Same thing with Saul Wachtler. And it was so funny. Somebody said, well, Jeanine Pirro apparently broke that rule because Jeanine Pirro can't even get these people indicted. It wasn't Jeanine Pirro. So I don't know how things are going. I don't know enough of the past. I don't know if Alina Habba. Trump does some stuff. Trump took, remember, a $5 million verdict and turned it into $88 million from the same woman, the same allegations twice, and went. It's a great return on your investment from 5 to 88. They do stuff which is stupid. They do stuff which is stupid. I want to explain to this chidrulo, when you say enough about New York, New York is what is happening around the world. Let me say this to you. Let me try this again, Nick, and I'll speak slowly. New York and London and the UK are what's happening around the world. You cannot think anymore of cities, Nick. You can't understand this, Nick. And I know sometimes you mean well, and that's okay. But what is happening? Did you see what's happening with Tommy Robinson? Did you see what's happening in Rome? A friend of mine said, Rome. He said, Rome is horrid. It's where they're being our invasion. Thanks to Trump, we don't see it like we do in Europe, or like they do in Europe. So understand something. Understand something. Do yourself a favor. Everybody loves a smartass, and everybody loves somebody who's throwing something out. But understand, we are at war right now, and we don't need this. You understand this? We need adults here, not children, and we don't need the drunk at the end of the bar pounding his fist and yelling, or some drunk yelling at the. I knew a friend of mine one time, a guy who was drunk, who would yell at instant replays. He didn't know what he was doing. And I'm not suggesting anybody who's drunk. This is something which, these are radicalized people. There are more of them. We don't have them. You know what we say? And we got to ask permission. Did you say the N-word? Okay, you're bounced forever if you say it. And of course, we don't use that word. But you can go on and you can basically salivate over the public execution of Charlie Kirk. Nothing happens to you. Nothing happens to you. When Trump sat next to Mark Zuckerberg and what's his name from Google, and the fellow from Microsoft, yeah, Altman, yeah, but I'm thinking more of no, not peace. No, I'm thinking social media. Mark Zuckerberg is Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. Elon wasn't there. Do you mean to tell me, it's like, let me ask you something, Mark. If somebody was yelling the N-word and you weren't Dave Chappelle, would you allow that? Would you allow that? Be honest with me. No, you wouldn't. But somebody can go on and basically not only salivate over, but scream and yell at in this. And by the way, a lot of those folks who are doing this, they're not from New York. So this is a global theater. There is no distinction about, well, that person with the pink hair who was laughing over the murder of Charlie Kirk, are they from Cincinnati? See, we're angry. We get in the way of this. We get in the way of our own anger. We talk nonsense. Look at the stuff, with all due respect. Look at what's written later on when we get a chance. Look what people write. I'm talking about trying to compose, trying to fortify an action plan, a call to arms, a call to action. That we need to revamp and remodify everything. And people are talking about bullshit that has nothing to do. Well, I like New York. Well, I like the pizza. What do you like pizza? We're in the middle of a war. It's like whenever you bring people together, not everybody, but a lot of people say, do you not understand? This is our problem. The enemy, the left, as you might call them, oh, they're serious. Oh, they're serious. They don't sit around and talk about nonsense. They believe that Charlie Kirk is evil, and they believe that Charlie Kirk deserved everything that was coming to him. They believe this. If you think I'm kidding, you're not paying attention. They believe that Charlie Kirk deserved everything that happened to him. How do you try to explain that? They are radicalized. Are we radicalized? No. 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 Does anybody fear us? No. Let me ask you this question. And by the way, this might be a New York question, so please, or maybe a DC question, just asking. Just want to give you a heads up so nobody gets their panties in a wad. When the president was in DC the other night and he was making his way from table to table, did you notice that the people who were in the restaurant almost didn't, they weren't vetted. They seemed to be almost surprised. They seemed almost to be surprised that the president was there, as opposed to somebody saying something to the effect of, they vetted this ahead of time. They They made sure everybody was okay. There was one fellow who was so close to Trump, she could have stabbed him. Now, did they? Let me ask you something, and maybe you know the answer to this. Did they clear that place? Did they find out who was sitting where? Why is the president going out to eat? I know now in the old days, there were presidents who really did this. There were presidents who did. George Herbert Walker Bush did it. He had a place, a Chinese place or something. I think some others did it as well. Clinton did it a couple of times, but for the most part, it is a Secret Service nightmare. Why did the president do that? These people are so angry. This woman had a keffiyeh in her bag, went up to him and screamed, "You're a killer," but Venezuela. Now, her points were correct. Oh, because what we do with Venezuela is just absurd. But for her to do that, she has no fear. She has no fear of anybody. She has no fear of being arrested. She has no fear of any kind of decorum. You know, in Florida, they have these rules that say, please don't feed the gators. And the reason why they don't want you to feed the gators is that the gators will not fear you. And then you have to worry about the gators because they'll come out. In the old days, alligators would run from you. So this woman was in a restaurant. She didn't worry at all about going up and being tackled, being herself harmed or roughed up by the Secret Service. No, they're not afraid of anything. They're not afraid of anything. Do you understand what's happening here? Let me see here. Jeff says, Lionel, I'm on the left and I hate this murder. A lot of people do. A lot of good lefties do, if you will. Carla says, I just got back from Paris, stayed in my lane, heading to London in a couple of weeks, and I'll try to do the same. Until reason and common sense return, I'm staying in my lane. I appreciate that. And if I were you, Carla, I'd stay home. International travel ain't the way to do it. I don't want to sound boorish, but it's bad enough in this country. You're seeing something right now which is really, really something. I used to always think, stupid me, that I had to worry about the closed-minded people here in this country. In this country. I thought we were closed-minded. That Europe this was the Renaissance, this was the Enlightenment in Europe. They're worse than we are. So let me go back to what I was saying. We live in a world right now where we are the biggest wimps anybody has ever seen. The biggest. We have, we have no political party to speak of. We never think ahead, whether it's New York or Chicago or Portland or any of these other cities. We don't have people who come in and give them the plan, where we go in and we say, we represent, whether it's the Republicans or not. By the way, I'm not a part of the Republicans, not a part of CPAC. By the way, turning point, let me go back to something before, let me jump ahead of myself. Do you know how many people Charlie Kirk was responsible in having come over to our side? He made our side cool. But let me tell you something, and you may laugh at this, okay? And you may disagree. If I'm going to try to lure you, let's say you are an LGBTQ trans, whatever person, I am not going to win your favor if I mock them. Why do we insist upon going out and somebody comes up and what do? We beard the lion in his den by saying words to the effect of, something to the effect of, are you a man? Were you born a man? What's your pronoun? Well, that's stupid. That's stupid. Okay, is it stupid? Of course it's stupid. Why do you think it's a good idea? Who are you winning by saying it's stupid? Why? Who? Who? I'm not blaming anybody, and I sure as hell I'm not saying it's Charlie's fault. But why would you even bring this up? Is that the way you want to persuade some? Is that the way you want to persuade? Tell me. I seriously, I do not understand. Is that the way you want to persuade? I mean it, and I'm saying this again, and I'm not blaming anybody in the least. But why do people do this? If I'm trying to lure black folks into the Republican Square, whatever the hell this is called, do you think it'd be a good idea for me to go there and say, and you know, all of this reparation stuff is stupid, and you and your stupid reparations, does that win? Does that win? I think it's stupid. Is that the way you persuade it? Is that it? He goes out there, and again, I'm not sure. And what does he do? He basically tells people, or nobody else is going to do this. And we have this idea of us where we say, you're stupid. You see, you're wrong. We're Christian. We read the Bible. We believe in God. And if you've got pink hair and you think you're a girl or a dog or a unicorn and you don't believe in God, there's something wrong with you. Now, again, Charlie was very nice and he was terrific and he wanted people to. Do you think I'm going to win by insulting you? Let me ask you a question. If I told you this, listen, you're too damn fat. You put on a lot of weight. I don't even recognize you. What the hell's the matter with you? Don't you understand that carrying on that belly fat, you're opening yourself up to? Well, it's true. How effective is that? How effective is it? You going to like me? It's true. Or if I tell you, you know what? You know how much better you would feel? And it's easy. I know you can do it. You know, it's just a matter of changing that to eating plan. But you know what? You're going to be there. This is so terrific. And we're going to work on this together. And by God, you're going to look great. And you're going to feel terrific. I'm going to help you. Come on, let's do it. I did the same thing. Let's do it. Isn't that better? Wouldn't you like me as opposed to, hey, fatso, what's the matter with you? Here you are, belly aching. Oh, I don't have time to exercise. Yeah. Stop. It's true. It's true. That's the way we do it. That's the way we go. We go into places and we tell people basically you're wrong. In New York City, what was that? New York City. What was that? New York City. In New York City, we tell these people, these Mamdani folks, that they're stupid. Or whether it could be Kamala Harris. She's an idiot. She's an idiot. AOC, she's an idiot. That's what we do. Democrats, they're violent. They say the same thing, but we just say this stuff, and we think somehow that we're gonna lure these people. You understand that? You understand that? We don't want to hear the truth. We're right. They're wrong. F you. That's the way we think. It's true. I see it all the time. You don't understand something. We don't understand how people despise Donald Trump. But what do people do? They come in right away with flags and all this stuff to try to lure people over. If you go to a Trump rally, you better have flags. You better play that Lee Greenwood. You better do this. You know the routine. But if I'm trying to lure somebody in, what's the best way for me to do it? How do you think? How do you think? Nobody cares about that. We have no plan. What's the next 25 years? How am I going to go? Let me tell you something that would be phenomenal. And this wouldn't happen. If I had everybody that was just this is the thought experiment. I know this is not going to happen, but think about this. If I had everybody who is anybody, I mean from day one, on Instagram or social media ads, if I did this, And if I said, America's great, thank you, I could, and it became cool to be, let's say, patriotic or to salute the flag, and I did this, it would be probably one of the biggest things anybody's ever seen. But that's not going to happen. But if I could, remember during when Kamala was running, Kamala, everybody, all the Hollywood folks, all of them were paid. Beyonce, Oprah, 5, 10 million, they were paid big time for this. Just to come out and just give their... Who do we have? Nobody. Who do we have? Ralph Macchio, good guy. Lee Greenwood, great guy, great performer. Kid Rock. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't, because it's cool to hate Trump. It's cool. So how do I get around that? How do I do this? If I'm going to go in, well, first of all, having somebody having MAGA, do you think that's the way to get people? No. And again, it sounds like I'm not giving Charlie Kirk anything. But let me also tell you, do you think Candace Owens is going to get off her asses going there? She shouldn't. Ben Shapiro? Who? Go down the list. Tucker? No. Nobody's going out there. Nobody. Charlie was the only one as part of you saw a few people. I think Dinesh D'Souza a couple of times at campuses. I think Ann Coulter did it for a while. But that campus stuff, that's over with. That's done. In fact, college campuses are going to say, we don't want you here, because if there's not a lawsuit, I think that Charlie's wife has a cause of action against whomever for at least, I'm sure if you looked into this, somebody dropped the ball. Somebody would, either an insurance policy or deep pocket somewhere. But that's a different story. You're not going to see this anymore. What is our message? Well, we make fun of Brigitte Macron. How's that go over? How does that go over with young folks? Because they're into this. They really, I don't know why, but they are. They're into this business about gender and this and that. So what do? We basically focus all of our attention on whether Brigitte Macron is a man. Now, I know you laugh at that and you think that's funny, and I get that, but you think that's what they think we are. Is that what we're about? No. But see, nobody wants to hear it. We're right, damn it. That's it. F you and the horse you rode in on. That's it. I heard somebody the other day say, we've got to take the reins off of Israel, Bibi, and let him do what he has to do. Let him get done what has to be done. Go in and once and for all, get rid of Hamas. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Carla says, thank you. We are watching the human vanish from humanity. Well, yes, our human, they're doing just great. That vermin is proliferating. But thank you. Absolutely. It's another world. Look, in our generation, our parents said, these kids today with this rock and roll music, okay, fine. These kids today with their, long hair, okay, that's fine. These kids today with such and such, okay, fine. Then it was they're radicalized and they're making a lot of noise and they're doing some lousy stuff and they're in the various riots and they're doing all this stuff and they're violent and all this kind of stuff. And we got to make it. Okay, fine. That was that. But it was a war, and nobody really countenanced violence per se. But it was a war. It was okay, fine. Now, what we're seeing is, and what Carla speaks to was right. We're looking at something which makes absolutely no sense. Jeff says we are more alike than different. Maybe, 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 maybe. It's hard to say. But today, but thank you. But today's group is so violent. It's another world. The other day in Qatar, Israel, attacked Qatar. I promise. I asked people, do you understand what that was about? And if they say, well, what are you supposed to do? We're trying to get Hamas, aren't we? Well, that's where they are. Forget it. I move on. I don't even want to talk to them. I say, you don't get it. You don't get it. Man, Tony Nick says, who is the young Kirk Fuentes like frontrunner now? Good question that you asked us the name earlier. Except you said it is not Shapiro Tucker. Was it just rhetorical? Otherwise, who? I don't know. Nobody's going to be going out. Jeff says, how about we make a positive from a negative? You tell me how. Well, let me ask our friends, because this is a good question, man, Tony. Please, no New York questions, but thank you. Who is the next Charlie? Nobody. Ben Shapiro? Hell no. Ben Shapiro, no. Ben Shapiro, the bottom line is people don't understand the whole notion of what Israel represents to young people. I'm not saying right or wrong. We've got it completely bass-ackwards. Nobody gets it. Nobody. And I said the other day, for example, when Mom Donnie was telling this Marsha Kramer, she said, oh, I don't want to, I think BDS makes great, they love him. Have you seen Zateo, what's his name? Mehdi Hassan? Mehdi Hassan is like, this guy's like Torquemada. This guy is serious. Dear God, this guy is serious. Like you cannot believe. He is one of the best speakers there is. He is absolutely, without a doubt, brutal like nothing you've ever seen. And he is loved. There's a whole nother world out there. So what I'm saying, if you think you're going to go and get young people and you tell them, and by the way, we're going to stand behind Bibi, you're done. You're done. That's like going to young people and saying, we're going to stand behind nuclear fuel, nuclear power, which makes sense. You're done. They don't know that. Don't start. Teach them. Find out what we agree with. Find out how the notion of speech is. Talk about how the notion of governance. Find out where a little bit about student loans, how they have been the victim of predatory student loans. Find something I can explain. But I was explaining to a friend of mine who's one of these conservative types. I said, he's got the Israeli and American flag. It's like, be careful where you wear that. The American? I said, both. Because what you're doing is you're telling somebody something. Jeff says right now, come together, America. It takes both wings to fly. Well, that sounds great, but how are we going to, what do you think is the reason? How am I going to make these people come together? What do you think it will take? What do you think? What do you think it will take? It's a fascinating subject, but what do you think it will take? What do you think it will take? We need a plan. The Republican Party figures just like Trump won. That's it. We're right. They're wrong. That's it. Is that it? Our foreign policy is insanity. We're a country with about 800. Watch my interview with Douglas McGregor, Colonel McGregor. We're about 800 military bases in 75 or 80 countries. Why? What are we doing? What are we doing? The DEI thing doesn't hit a nerve anymore. Trans stuff. You're going out and you're mocking people. You're mocking them. Okay? You're mocking them. when we were trying to find ways of engaging white and black and that sort of thing, we didn't go out there and say, "Hey, all you black with your stupid afros and your stupid dashikis and your X and Thomas XX and your Malcolm X bullshit and all that. What's the matter with you? You're not Africans. You're from Cleveland." Oh, that's great. That's great. Now, reparations, luckily, for example, I don't think it's as big a deal as people think. But if you want to come up and say, you got to understand something, you got to stop belly aching. A lot of people came in this country. A lot of people had it off worse than you. You got Chinese people who come in this country and they can't even speak English and they're only business, but you're lazy and you might say, but that's right. I don't care if that's right. You're not going to win them that way. So we have no plan. We have nothing. We hope that somehow maybe a Charlie Kirk pops out. Maybe who? I don't know. Who is the young Scott Pressler, by the way, is the other formidable force. He is to be lauded. He is to get a Medal of Freedom. By the way, Charlie Kirk shouldn't get a Medal of Freedom because of his political campaign. The idea is that he believes in freedom of speech. He did more to advocate speech. But Turning Point is gone. You can forget it. And there are people who are going to say, I'm not even going to get near that. I don't want to go near another meeting. I don't want that to be me. Nobody's going to pick up the gauntlet. Nobody. Nobody's going to do that. Tucker's not going to do that. You notice how Tucker Carlson, his thing now is for the first time he says, I'm going to come out and I'm going to say for the first time, I'm going to say that Bibi Netanyahu, Piers Morgan said, do you think Israel is somehow was responsible for 9/11? And so the clip they're running is Tucker saying, well, Bibi Netanyahu said immediately after 9/11, this is good for us because then now America will see as their enemies our enemies. That doesn't mean he had anything to do with 9/11. What he's saying is absolutely right. It's the old notion of don't let any disaster go by. So people are they've been always trying to push this Israeli connection. Now I'm all ears. Tell me, where did you get this from? Thank you, Jeff. Love you as well, sir. Where did you get this from? Where did you get this? Because people love, well, there were the dancing Israelis. I've been through this forever. Say, what are you talking about? This is idiot. So anyway, all of a sudden, for reasons I don't understand, Tucker woke up and he used to mock truthers, as he called. He would mock these people. You're crazy. He thought you were out of your mind with your stupid stuff. The sleeping giant stirs. If the giant is awakened, there is no stopping him. Yes. You're talking about, of course, the great Yamamoto. We have awakened the sleeping giant and given it a terrible resolve. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, truly. We need a message out there that's we got to stop this nonsense. Now, unfortunately, I'm not in charge of the narrative, but we waste more time with this stupid bullshit about Brigitte Macron and this idea that somehow, what are you saying, that Israel did 9/11? No. You don't even know who did. It's not Israel. It doesn't work. No. There's this diffuse anger. And these are the same people who say, USS Liberty. That's all they sort of. So Tucker kind of taps into this, bumps and runs. He does a story. It's like he's double parked. It's weird. It's like he's double parked. It's I don't know what the it's like a drive-by thing. He barely covers it and he's off. And then he leaves people with this sense of, well, what are you getting? I don't know. He just asked these questions because he's enjoying himself, and do you think he's pulling young people into him? I don't know. I don't care about talking all the time to somebody who is, it's an interesting show, but how do I get new people? And the first thing I'm going to do is I want to talk to them, and I'm going to say, well, let me tell you what's going on. I said, this may become a surprise to you, but when it comes to gender, what I think is most important is not necessarily what somebody wants to be. If you're an adult, my problem is prepubescent gender reassignment. That is not only permanent, but it's dangerous, and it's very, very iffy at best. That's the story. Do you hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? This is something really critical. This is really, 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 really important. And have they say, really, that's it? That's it. And I will sit down with anybody. If you have purple hair or whatever it is, I don't really care about that. I do not want anybody to be tampered with when they're children medically. And the same also goes, and we're probably in the same place, the same thing goes for children and vaccines. When you take a little baby and you're giving a child HPV, don't waste my time with your explanation. Don't. Stop. The child is not going to get it's not going to get papillomavirus an hour after birth. So stop it. So we can get this out of the way. Just out of the way. What else do you care about? So see what I just did? I made a concession. I have no problem with it. You want to use pronouns? Use pronouns. I don't care. But I also have to understand that sometimes when you go through life, all of a sudden people said, I'm African American. And they follow that, you're born in Cleveland. You have nothing to do with Africa. I'm African American. I'm not going to call you. Well, what country then? What? Africa. That's a continent, you stupid idiot. That's what we went through before. You want to argue about that? Fine. African American it is. What's your next position? Tell me your next consideration. Tell me your next consideration. Tell me your next thought. Tell me your next concern. Tell me, I'm there. I'm there. Nobody seems to care about this. I don't want to sit there and take some 20-year-old and I'm going to browbeat him about, oh, really? So what are you born? Oh, you're not a woman? Yeah. Or you're born, oh, so you think well, you know that's impossible, right? What, are you born a giraffe? Why are we doing this? I'm pissing off everybody. That's not the Republican Party. I don't give a shit about what you call yourself after the fact. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to anybody. We're wasting our time. We are sniveling cowards because we glom onto these stupid little things. We love symbols, flags, and everything, but that's not it. You're not going to burn my flag. It's not even a problem. Plus, there's a first. So what I'm saying is, Charlie at least talked to somebody. Maybe there's somebody who says, you know, this guy's kind of cool. Maybe it is. We need a young Republican. Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes says stuff. You know why Nick Fuentes is so dangerous? Because what he says is people saying, you know, he's going to point there. Nick Fuentes says things that people think. Nick Fuentes says things about Jews. Well, let me tell you something, okay? I'm a retired Catholic, and Mrs. Ellen and I were raised as Catholics, and we had to put up with a lot of anti-Catholic bullshit then. And nobody went on the way and called them anti-Vaticanates or Vaticophobes or whatever the particular word was. We had to take it. We had to take that. Okay? So if Nick wants to talk about Jews, take it. Jews, the same way we had to take this. Now, granted, when somebody's advocating violence, it's a different story. But the same way, black folks, do me a favor. You got to take it. We're white. We got to hear this shit all the time. You got to take it. Nobody's talking about your inherent race. They're talking about certain facts or factions or passels of individuals from you, especially the bonnet-wearing La Fonda rioting group. That's the one we're talking about. And we're tired of this goddamn double standard. Now, that may be what you and I talked about. But if I'm trying to recruit black folks into our team, I'm not going to go out and say, we're tired of this goddamn double standard. No. Nobody seems, they don't care about, I don't care about being right. I want to recruit. I want to, this is a wrong term, but I want to groom, I want to condition people, but instead of something terrible and sexual, something positive. I want people to understand what it means to be an American. You see, I'm going to say something to you and say, see, this is the thing, ultimately. This never changes. What's behind it may change. The people that are in charge may change. But the fundamentals, the precepts of being an American Do not change. And you're going to need this. You're going to need this. Now, behind the track, so to speak, I want you to understand that we have got to go out and tell CBS, you had someone who, if during George Floyd, I were to be allowed to, if I had been, let's say, on CBS, and I said, excuse me, as America was just losing its mind over George Floyd, if I said, how much do you think black music plays in glorifying drugs and drug abuse, which may have led to this in the first place? What? Yeah, how much do you think? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? They'd say you're fired. If I would have talked about George Floyd, you know, he was a number of, he attacked women, he had this kind of record. Do you think, what does it say about the black community when your sense of hierarchy and hero status goes to a drug addict thug who, they would cut me off immediately. But people can say things about Charlie Kirk and say, well, you know, who was it? Pritzker talked about January 6th. What do? We tweet it or repost it. We say, this is terrible. And then conservative cable news will just run comments on it. Isn't that terrible? Look, I'm tired of this. So you got to ask yourself a question. Are you pissed off about it? Or do you want to change things? And if you want to change things, who are you going to put in charge of change? How do you think it, what do you plan on doing? I've been telling people, friends of mine here in New York, that's right, New York. You're not going to win by going to Mamdani people and laughing at them and saying, you're stupid, you're commies, you're radicals, you're violent, stupid Marxists. Don't do this. Okay, my friends. We have had one heck of a day. This is probably, I'm sorry, but this Charlie Kirk story, which is so horrible and so terrible, but it has provided me and a lot of us with the opportunities of really talking about something which is very serious. And that is something that, I don't want to say we have a conversation. I hate when people say, let's have a conversation. But we're really able seriously to talk about something which is really critical. And we have been able to do that. We have been able to do this, which is really important. Really, 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 really important. So let me just keep that in mind. Let me thank you for what you have suggested heretofore. Now, a couple of things here. Let me remind you that we're probably going again to be on later on. Let me say, Mrs. L has been absolutely on fire with her Lynn's Warriors. She did an interview today which will blow your mind. We're going to put that one coming up. It is so good. So it's incredible. So follow her at Lynn's Warriors. You've got to hear the voices of these survivors and these women. It is, nobody's talking about it. Nobody. Especially the black community, where the number of familial trafficking is through the roof. Nobody ever wants to bring that up. But that's a fact. So make sure you do that. Make sure you do that. And to everybody here, let me just go through this. I hope I'm going to thank each one individually. To Night Toe, thank you so much. Jeff Yezik, thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Mantony Nick, thank you, my friend. Carla, the cooking CEO, thank you. I'm glad to see you got your name back. I mean, that's who you are. We thank you for that. Freedom, thank you for your thoughts and your incredible comments. Andrew, Pilgrim Media, new member, DB, Raul, Bishaman, Jim Thurkill. Thank you so much, my friends. Remember, make sure you are subscribed to Lionel Nation. And one more thing. We said this before. I told you, the first ad, whatever it was, the first supporter of the show, the first sponsor, I said I want it to be food. There is nothing to me which makes more sense, because Bitcoin, gold, wonderful, cash, wonderful, during disaster, credit cards, it's going to be food, water, energy, and ammo. Preparewithlionel.com. Go there and see for yourself. And look around the site itself. You will not believe how much is out there in terms of items available in the event of disaster. So anyway, that's it, my friends. An hour and 40 minutes today. Thank you for this. Thank you for being with us. It means a lot. And it's so terrible that we had to have this man's death and assassination as a means by which, as an inspiration point, as an inspiration node, a thought genesis node, by virtue of his tragic loss. And again, our thoughts go to his wife and his children. And I hope the Republicans do the right thing and make sure she is taken care of for the rest of her life, most comfortably. Okay? Because he gave his life. Sometimes that term is overused too much. He gave his life. All right, my friends, we will talk to you later. Have a great and glorious day. Don't forget the monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue you. Dad.